Hi, welcome to my video. As you know, I have been taking finals, and it is finals week. The most important thing that I finished is my design final, which I've been rambling about for quite a bit in my vlog, and if you haven't seen it, I will link it up here. But I just wanted to make a whole video about my design class in general, and what it was like for the first semester at RISD. It's been good, I would say. It's been a little crazy, but the work hasn't been impossible, so I just wanted to show you what I've been up to, so here it is. The things I have mainly to show is my sketchbook that I've been working on for Just Design. This is purely just stuff for the class because she wanted a separate sketchbook, which is understandable considering how much I actually use this. And then I have my final that's sitting on the ground. So let's talk about the final first. So this thing was my final project for design, and it's kind of hard to tell what it is right now because it's super up close. It is a dollhouse with a lot of things in it. So let's just kind of go through the experience, I guess. I try to find the most convenient way to show you, but basically this is my dollhouse. So the outside of this dollhouse has these little balconies on it, and then in the balconies there's these dolls, and I made these. I've made everything here basically. I made these dolls out of clay, and then I made their clothes too, and I hand embroidered the beads on it, and there are 4 of them, and you can take them out. They're like not attached in any way, and they just kind of slip in and out. So here they all are. They're very cute. They are freestanding, so they do have flat feet, and their clothes are detachable because I use these magnets, so you can just like slip them off and put them back on. You can detach their clothes if you wanted to. They're put on with a series of magnets in the back. Their clothes are all made out of the same 2 pieces, which is basically just like this skirt piece and then a shawl piece, because their arms are not movable, so it's really hard to make clothes for dolls that don't have moving joints. I'm not a professional doll maker, so I kind of just tried and did my best. Yeah, I have 4 of these on the outside, and they're wearing different colors, and all their clothes are slightly different yet similar from each other. There's some more variety in that. There's the mirrors in the back right here so that you can see the back of them. They all relatively have the same face. So I made all the clothes pretty much in the same fashion, but there obviously are slight variations through all of them. As you can see from these 3, their clothes are all slightly different, and they are all removable in the same way. Let's just use this one for an example. So as you can see, this is what it looks like, right? The top part is removable and there's magnets. And then after that, the back has rows of magnets as well. And that's how you take that off. Now you have a naked doll. The hats are attached, but you can also just take them off. It's not that hard to dress them. I try to make it as simple as possible just because the concept is a dollhouse. So I try to make things as interactive as possible. There's also a magnet in the front here for the closure of the little shawl looking thing. You can just snap it in place and then you can wrap it around. And on the other side, you attach it like that. So that's how you dress them and undress them. And they're all basically the same. So they all have, you know, they all have the top button and the back seam. They're all very glittery and they have stars in their eyes. All of their clothes are also embroidered by hand. So the beading done on these is very intricate, and it took me quite a while. It was quite a task that took me a few days to do as well. There's also some clothing lines, really cute. Here's a shirt. Let's talk about the sides. So the sides of the house, you have these little scalloped guys for the little shingles on the roof, and in the middle there's a little sparkle because I really like these star sparkle things. So I thought they were really cute, so I tried to put like as many as I could on this project. There's these windows made out of plexiglass, and they're double paned windows, so that means there's a pane on the inside and the outside. And then there's a heart in the middle, and it's very cute. And then when light shines through the building, you can actually see the heart shadows inside of the building, which I thought was really cute, so I really like it. When you open it, wow, the final reveal. When you open it, there's this book that also opens with it, and this was the comic book that I've been posting on my story a lot. If you haven't seen it, follow my Instagram and my Snap, linked here. As I was saying, this was done in gouache, and this is some dental vellum right here, and so I just stuck it on here. It took a lot of time, but it's basically a comic about like the average day that I would have in Shanghai, because this is all based off of an apartment building that I have in Shanghai that I used to visit a lot when I was younger. This book's cover is made out of dental vellum, so normally it would float like this and you can't see the cover, but if it's pressed, you can see the other page behind it, which is really cool. It's a really nice like foggy effect to it. And so there is some Chinese written, but I don't know how to write Chinese, so I know that it's really bad, so please don't make fun of me. I did my best. But basically this is just like an average day that I would have spending in Shanghai when I was a kid. Some different things like, you know, eating breakfast on the terrace or going shopping with my grandma, eating yummy desserts and shopping and things like that. There's also, of course, stickers. I love stickers. And then there's food. Food is very important, clearly. That's pretty much the end of it. I would have liked to make more pages, but I just didn't have time to with the time constraint because this assignment was due in basically 3 weeks. So this is all I could really get done. I really wanted to attach it to the spine of the box, and for the longest time I couldn't figure out how to do it. And for whatever reason, last minute I realized, oh, I can just attach a piece of ribbon to it and it would have worked. Such a simple solution, but I don't know why I didn't really think of it. I did spend a lot of time on these pages because they're gouache, so they take crazy long no matter what. But I'm really glad that I got it done, and I'm really proud of myself. I spent a lot of time on these pages, and it took me a long time to figure out the color palette and everything. This was nice. So, here it is. You can flip through it, and it's attached to the spine of the house. So it kind of works along with it, but you can also take it out if you wanted to because it's attached by a ribbon. I just don't really feel like taking it out because I don't want to put it back in. And then we have all these cute little furniture pieces. Let me open this better. Wow, look at it go. As you can see, they're all detachable. So you can just take them out and move them if you want because they're attached by magnets. Even the ones on like the ceiling and stuff, you can just snatch them and then, you know, place them back. They click in place and it's very satisfying. But this is the inside basically. I have a bunch of these little pieces of furniture that I made over the course of 1 or 2 days because this was a very time-restrained project and I started running out of time. So this is what I ended up coming up with. The walls are painted with gouache and there's another paint on the inside, like I said, for the double pane windows. There's multiples of each piece of furniture for each room because I don't want to get too in depth about what this project was about necessarily, but basically it's an exploded floor plan because of how I don't remember where everything is in my house because I don't visit it very often. So things seem to always change and I can't quite tell or like put a finger on exactly what changed. So that's why in my memory it feels like this, and so that's how I portrayed it. There's a lot of cute little pieces of furniture and they're all hand painted. They're made out of polymer clay and they're all also glazed with some glitter as well. Let's get more in depth. This is the first room that we have, and basically there's a lot of little pieces of furniture as you can see, but this would have been my cousin's bedroom. So there's a little wardrobe and they're all detachable, like I said. Her little bed, and then there's a desk, and then there's the same desk on the wall. So basically they look the exact same, but this one's just attached on the wall. This is the kitchen. So as you can see, there's like 3 stoves, and I have multiples of each item usually. Here's a sink, there's 2 sinks, a mirror, table. Basically you can see all of it. Some things seem a little crazy, like there's just a washing machine on the ceiling. This washing machine is one of my favorite little pieces that I've made. There's a shirt that I painted and some star sparkles, like I said, on almost everything. And this guy just attaches on the ceiling like so. There's all these other pieces of furniture, like obviously that's the dining table. There's some chairs, things like that. And there's a TV. The TVs are also very cute. There's a lot of detail on these as well. You can see the little reflections and things like that. And the sinks were done with a lot of detail as well. These stoves have a lot of little things on them, so there's a lot of buttons. There's obviously the stove tops and like an oven, so a lot of little things goes there. This room is basically a bathroom, but with some other random things from parts of the house. So there's like this vanity. There's also washing machines, the sinks. As compared to the kitchen sink, this one is obviously much smaller, and it has the same star details and decorations. Basically, everything is pretty much in the same theme. And then if you turn the book, there is the bedroom for my grandparents. This is the bed that they would sleep in. This is a mattress for whoever comes to visit. There's that same desk from before. There's a TV on the ceiling, just random things like that. And then lastly, this is the living room. The living room has these couches that I really like. If you can see, these couches have little glitter pieces on them as well, but they also have some cross-hatching and texture-ish aspects to it. So they're very cute. Yeah, this is basically the living room slash dining area. It's kind of hard to explain this house, but basically there's a lot of pieces. I didn't want to show you every single piece because I feel like that'd be like a lot, and I just showed you basically my favorite pieces. I find tiny pieces of furniture really charming, so things like this are really cute to me, and I just really like making them. So yeah, you can see they are very small, and so I have like used polymer clay a lot though, so this wasn't too difficult for me. It was just more time consuming. They just snap in place. So this whole dollhouse is pretty interactive too, and of course you could always put your own things in it for, you know, whatever purpose. It was just kind of a concept idea, but you know, like I have this little washing machine guy that spins, so like if you wanted to, potentially you could put that in there if you wanted to. It's just a regular dollhouse. I just kind of made pieces to go in it for now. So yeah. So now let's talk about this book that's in it. This book took a lot of ideas. So this was basically my final, just in this box. It is kind of heavy, but I can kind of lift it. As you can see, there's a lot of fingerprints on the mirrors because it's been touched a lot. Overall, it was a good crit, and I'm really glad that everyone liked my dollhouse because I spent so much time on it. But yeah, basically a lot of tiny pieces of furniture in a house with magnets. So now that we have discussed my actual final, let's talk about the class itself. So the actual class was kind of crazy. We had this sketchbook, right? And I ended up filling up all of it, but this is what my sketchbook looked like. The cover has gotten kind of dirty, sadly, but you know, it is what it is. And a lot of my planning for my final was in here as well, so I think it's beneficial to go through my sketchbook and just kind of show you everything. Also, I know how much you guys love sketchbook tours, so I figured, why not? Along with the sketchbook though, I just like to talk about what it took to finally get to that like final dollhouse. Is basically I made models. I made like a lot of little models, but this is one of the really good ones that I made. It is currently tied together with a ribbon on the back because I didn't want it to fling open because there's some other things in it. If I can just get it to open. These little balconies are detachable. I was initially going to use plexiglass and make these boxes, but I just didn't have time, so I couldn't. But these are detachable for the purposes of storage, traveling, and being able to measure pieces really easily. They'll just slip off and pop back on. It's pretty convenient. And then if I open it, there's this guy that's really weird. This is held together by magnets currently because they're meant to be separate pieces. So this is what I used to make my babies. I hand sculpted this first, and then I made molds out of them. So this was basically a test run for all my babies, and I made separate parts to test out separate looks. But yeah, this is the basic model of all of them. So I still have this prototype to keep. Also in this box, I have this book to test out measurements. This is clearly a little bit too big because it doesn't fit very well. Blank, binded with some really crappy binding, but I just wanted to test out what I should do. I did end up going with a Japanese stab binding, but that one's the kettle stitch binding. Obviously that changed as well. But yeah, there's just a cute little dollhouse I wanted to show you guys because I did have to do like a lot of different things to get to the point that I was at the end of the project, and it took a lot of work, which is why it took so long. And I was actually super crammed for time during this too. I'm just gonna stick these pieces back in here with his two arms. Don't worry about it. Here's my sketchbook from design, and basically a lot has happened to it. There are some little tabs up here, other things like that, but for the most part, here it is, all ripped up and worn. It is a Strathmore soft cover book, just so you guys know. A Strathmore 400 series drawing paper book. The soft cover does get scratched like really easily, as you can see, but obviously I've like gotten over that because it's already so scratched, so I don't care. But let's just get started. I usually leave the first page blank, and then the second page, these basically aren't like in order of when I drew them. I skip around all the time, just so you know. So this was part of the 15 drawings series that we had to do for class, where basically we had to do 15 observational drawings, or just any kind of drawings, but I chose observational drawings. This is of a coffee place nearby called Dave's Coffee. This is the actual sticker minus the V, because I took the V to put in here for coffee, whatever you want to call it. These are just little scenes from there, and this was the fruit bowl that I was eating. These are some concept designs for a project that I was doing. I was trying to write something that looked like Chinese but wasn't Chinese, and this is my progress as I went through it. This is the finished product, are these drawings that I did. I have a couple of them, as you can see. There are a lot of them. And then, of course, I also kept the remnants of the color test that I did and the preliminary sketches, things like that. But this was just the pre-planning for that, me trying to figure out what letters to use or characters, how I'm gonna actually set up the composition, pictures of the final project. I was finished at 4 a.m. apparently. Some more things. This was a crit on October 1st, not really relevant. And this was me practicing Chinese for the project that I just showed you, the final one, the comic book where I had to do some of the Chinese writing. This is some design project research. My professor had us do a lot of research for this project, so basically here's like a lot of different things that I discovered. And she also wanted a mood board, so I made one of these. I typically don't ever make mood boards, but this is just what she wanted from us, so I did it. There's a lot of pictures from Shanghai, and these pictures are glossy, so they feel really nice. Wow, ASMR. There's me! Wow! And some food, and the apartment building, and just so many things. Wow. This is my daily life in Shanghai, a typical day. Prompts for the comic, ? This is basically what I based my comic off of at the end. This is a page specifically for comic design, so some characters that I wrote down and some other things. These are some color palettes that I used, color tests. These are the colors that I ended up using, the ones with sparkles. And then this was me taking some notes on binding, so there's some different kinds of binding there. These are just notes from class, so that's not very important. More notes. And this is this guy in my class. He was sitting still, and we were in a really boring lecture, so I drew him, along with some quotes from my professor, like, "These colors, they hum." We were just looking at this book and screaming. So there's like a lot of different things that I heard, and I just drew them. Some more notes from class, and then these are the storyboards for the comic that I was going to draw. So as you can see, this is just the layout that I had of the pages and the storyline and how it would flow. And I initially did plan to have 10 pages because I was very ambitious. These are just some information about laser cutting and how to cut the wood. This is a cup that I actually have in my room, and it's just a really quick sketch of it for that 15 drawing series. And then here is the main pages of the sketchbook where I worked on for my final. So I had a lot of ideas, and this is basically just what it looked like. It's just me thinking of different ideas of how to work with this, and the things outlined in glitter pen are what I ended up going with. So this was the final balcony design, the final dollhouse design, and the final book design. This one ended up changing though, but at the time this is what I imagined it would look like. There's some more stuff on the final, like the floor plan of my building, the supply list that I needed to buy, things to do when I got home for Thanksgiving break, because there were certain things I had to do at home. These were very important, took me so long to think of, and they still weren't perfect at the end. I had to alter a bunch of things. And this is a floor plan that's on a piece of tracing paper because I did it based off of this guy. Here's a baby picture of me, random. Here's a character design for the baby dolls. This was the blank, and I had all these ideas on how to make it. These were the sizings for the final piece because, like I said, things changed. These are some random stickers, just some random notes that I took at the end of finally making the project. And then here's this hammy, this really cute hamster that I just thought was my overall mood. Just a very compressed, sleepy hamster. Here's one of the 15 that I did, and this is just the outside in the quad. And so I sat out there and I drew this one day. And then here is the final documentation of my final. So as you can see, this is the only thing that has like a real tab. You know, it goes from start to finish. There's a lot of pictures, just in case I ever lose anything. It's all in here. I did write some notes to the side. Basically, these are just pictures of my final project. And then this was the template that I used to make this little house. Here's a building for the 15 drawings. If there's any random drawing, it's probably part of that 15 series. And then here's some stuff that I did for my pictograms. This was an assignment that we had in class, and this was my finished pictogram. It was obviously printed a lot larger than this, but I just wanted to have it in my sketchbook to remember what it looked like. I did mine based off of some laws in China. Here are the templates that I used for the actual ones, and I just kept them. And then here are some drawings of my friend, just really quick. Here's some drawings from the RISD museum when we went and visited, and we had a class on that. And then this was for my what's it called? This was for my pattern that I had to do for class that you can actually see in one of my videos if you go watch it. I'll link it up here. This pattern was basically based off transparency, and to keep the lines clean, I made this up in Adobe Illustrator and I printed it and I used it as a template to draw on. As you can see, here's some color palettes, color tests, and this was the template that I used to actually draw it. And here are some studies on the piece that I based it off of. So we had to base our pattern off of a piece from the RISD museum. Here's a drawing of the RISD library, and it says, "Shh, I'm working." And there's a lot of designs in here, and like this all says my name over and over again right here. Blank pages, some random sketches. Here's outside of a building on my way to class. And then this was some notes that we took in class about fruits and vegetables and colors. These are some studies that I did in the RISD Met, so basically the cafeteria where we were eating. I just drew some people, and they're very sparkly. A lot of my art is very sparkly in case you haven't noticed. Some more notes from class. And this is my roommate, and I did this for part of the 15 series. And then here is the outlines. These are the actual drawings that I did for the comic book. As I said, I did plan to initially have 10 pages, so I do have 10 pages of this, which is really sad that I didn't get to do all of them just because of time restraints. I had 10 pages of this comic, and it actually went in sequential order, so it would have made more sense if I was able to do all of them, but sadly I wasn't. There's some really bad Chinese written in here, so I'm so sorry if you know how to write Chinese. I know I did a terrible job. I never learned how to write Chinese, I can only speak it, so that's why it looks pretty bad, but it's a pretty cute comic. I recommend you take your time and read it if you feel like it. You don't have to know Chinese to read it because it's basically all just self-explanatory. Here's another study of the outside on Benefit Street, and this was part of the 15 that I had to do. Random sketch in the workroom. These are some notes that I took for a final that we had we had a written test, but it ended up being a weird Jeopardy game. I kind of talked about that a little bit in my vlog. If you want to go watch it, I will link it. And then here are some rejected storyboards, but I didn't want to throw them away because they were kind of pretty, so I kept them. And these are some really bad sketches that I didn't like. Here's some studies from the Williams College Museum of Art on a field trip that we went to. This was a drawing from outside of Starbucks. And this is some more research for my final, as it says here. Yeah, more research. This was part of the 15 that I did. These are some studies at the nature lab, and then this is outside of Dave's coffee. Some more drawings. These are from the Clark, as you can see. This is the wristband that they gave us when we went in. Some more blank pages, and then this drawing. And as you know, at the end of my sketchbook, we have some really awkward, boring blank pages. So yeah, that concludes my entire design sketchbook. I'm finally done with it, and I'm going to put it in my pile, I guess. I don't know. This took me a whole semester to fill up, but I did it. I'm just mostly sad about this comic that I never got to finish because I would have loved to be able to actually have executed all of it. But thank you for watching. This was basically my entire final. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting to you. I think my final is a lot more interesting to see and touch in person, but I just wanted to show you guys this is what I've been up to for design, and this is how one semester of RISD has ended up for just one class. This is just my design class. I think it's a good recap, and I think having this sketchbook was a good recap of the year and the time spent doing it. So yeah, this was fun. I hope you guys like this video, and I will see you guys when I see you guys, I guess. I'm trying to do more videos, but like I said, this final took me crazy long, so this is all I could really end up with. But yeah, this is all I've got. So stay hydrated, take a nap. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Bye.